On the planet Zyrithia, the sky was a soft shade of purple. Tall trees with silver leaves swayed gently in the warm wind. This was the home of Princess Lyra, the daughter of the powerful royal family that ruled the land. But even though she was a princess, Lyra did not feel powerful or happy. She felt very alone. Lyra was born different from the other aliens of her world. Her legs were weak, and she could not walk like the others. In Zirithian culture, strength and physical skill were highly respected. Those who were strong were chosen as leaders, warriors, and partners. But Lyra's disability made her a problem for many. From the day she was a child, the court whispered behind her back. Nobles avoided her, and no one wanted to bond with her. Bonding was very important in Zyrithia. It was a special connection between two people that joined their lives forever. Without a bond, a person's future was uncertain and lonely. Lyra's heart often ached. She longed for friendship, for love, and for a place where she belonged. But the people around her saw only her weakness. They did not see her kind heart, her sharp mind, or her gentle spirit. Each day, Lyra sat by the large window of her palace, room. From there, she watched the world outside, the gardens, the forests, and the bright stars that shone every night. Sometimes she wished she could fly among the stars, far away from the cold eyes and cruel words. Far from Zyrithia, in a small blue planet called Earth, a group of humans prepared for a special mission. Earth had finally made contact with many alien worlds, including Zyrithia. The humans wanted to build friendships and learn from each other. Among the human team was a young diplomat named Alex. He was curious and kind. Alex believed every being had value, no matter how different they looked or what challenges they faced. He wanted to visit Zyrithia and understand its people. When the human ship landed on Zyrithia, the royal court welcomed them with great ceremony. But Princess Lyra stayed in her room, watching quietly. She did not expect the humans to be different from her own people. To her, they were strangers from a faraway place. One afternoon, as Alex explored the palace gardens, he noticed a figure, sitting alone beneath a glowing silver tree. It was Princess Lyra. She looked peaceful but distant. Her eyes focused on the shimmering leaves above. Alex approached slowly, not wanting to startle her. "Hello," he said gently. "I'm Alex. I'm here from Earth." Lyra turned to him, surprised. No one usually spoke to her so kindly. She studied his face, seeing warmth and respect there. "I am Lyra," she replied softly. They began to talk. At first, their words were simple and careful, but soon they shared stories about their worlds. Lyra told Alex about her life in the palace and how she felt left out. Alex listened carefully, never judging her. "I come from a place where people are different in many ways," Alex said. "We learn to value each other's hearts and minds, not just what we can do with our bodies." Lyra's eyes brightened a little. For the first time, she felt someone truly saw her, not as a disabled princess, but as a person. Days passed, and Alex and Lyra met often. They explored the gardens together, talked about stars and dreams, and slowly built a friendship. The other nobles watched with surprise. Some whispered that it was strange for a human to spend so much time with the princess who had no bond, but Alex did not care. He saw Lyra's courage and her gentle strength. He wanted to learn from her and to help her find her place in a world that had turned its back on her. One evening, as the twin moons rose over Zyrithia, Lyra shared a secret with Alex. "I wish I could join the festival of bonding," she said quietly, "but no one will ever choose me." Alex looked at her with determination. "Then I will stand by your side. Maybe together we can change what people believe." Lyra smiled, a small but real smile. Hope was a new feeling for her. It was fragile, but it was there. As the stars twinkled above, two very different beings sat together, an alien princess and a human diplomat, each dreaming of a future where no one would be judged for their differences. The next morning, the sun rose softly over the purple skies of Xerithia. The palace was alive with activity. Nobles prepared for the Festival of Bonding, a great event where families formed strong ties for the future. But in the quiet halls of the palace, Princess Lyra remained apart from the excitement. She watched from her window as everyone hurried past. No one stopped to say hello or ask if she wanted to join. Her heart felt heavy with sadness. Meanwhile, Alex was eager to learn more about Lyra's world. He believed that understanding came from spending time together, not from distant meetings. So he decided to visit the palace gardens again, hoping to find Lyra. The gardens were peaceful in the early morning. Flowers with glowing petals lit up the paths, and soft breezes carried sweet scents. Alex walked slowly, listening to the gentle sounds of birds and insects. Near a small pond, he saw Lyra sitting on a stone bench. She looked peaceful, but alone. "Good morning, Princess," Alex said with a warm smile. Lyra looked up and smiled faintly. "Good morning, Alex. Thank you for coming." Alex sat beside her, careful not to crowd her space. "I wanted to ask you more about the Festival of Bonding. It seems very important here." Lyra nodded. "It is. The festival is when families and friends choose their bonds. These bonds are stronger than friendship. They last a lifetime. They are a promise to help and protect each other." Alex listened carefully. "On Earth, we have something like that too. People form families, friendships, and partnerships based on trust and respect." Lyra's eyes grew curious. "Do you think bonding can happen between very different beings? Between humans and aliens?" Alex thought for a moment. "I believe it can. What matters is the connection between hearts, not the differences on the outside." Lyra looked at him thoughtfully. "I wish I could bond with someone. But because I cannot walk like others, no one wants to choose me. They say I am weak." Alex's expression grew serious. "That is not true. Strength comes in many forms. I have met many people who are strong in ways you might not expect." Lyra smiled softly. "You see me differently than the others? I see you as a person with dreams, hopes, and courage. That is what matters." The two sat quietly for a moment, watching the water ripple in the pond. Suddenly, a group of nobles passed by. One of them sneered and whispered loudly, "Why does the human spend time with the princess who cannot even stand? It is a waste." Lyra's face grew sad, but Alex stood up and faced the nobles. "Is it wrong to be kind?" he asked calmly. The nobles turned away, uncomfortable with his words. Alex sat back down. "Do not listen to them, Lyra. Their minds are closed, but your heart is open and strong." Over the next few days, Alex and Lyra spent more time together. They talked about many things: the stars, music, and stories from Earth and Xerithia. Alex showed her pictures and shared tales of human kindness and bravery. Lyra shared her fears and dreams. One afternoon, Alex brought a small device from his ship. It was a mobility aid, something humans used to help those who had trouble walking. "Maybe this can help you move more easily," he said, offering it to her. Lyra hesitated, but then tried it. With Alex's help, she moved a little farther than before, feeling the wind on her face and the soft earth beneath her. "It feels like freedom," she said, her eyes shining. Alex smiled. "You deserve to feel free." Their friendship grew stronger. Alex did not see Lyra as weak or broken. He saw her as a brave and wonderful person. The palace began to notice. Some nobles were curious. Others were shocked. But the bond between Alex and Lyra became a quiet symbol of hope. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Lyra confided in Alex. "I am scared about the festival. I know no one will choose me." Alex took her hand gently. Then I will choose you. We will show them that love and friendship are not about strength or appearances. They are about respect and heart. Lyra looked at him, her heart full of hope and fear. Do you really mean that? Every word, Alex said softly. That night, Lyra dreamed of a future where she was accepted, where her disability did not make her less, and where love could break all barriers. The next day, news spread that the AA human diplomat would participate in the Festival of Bonding. The court buzzed with whispers and questions. Many were surprised and some were angry, but Alex was ready. He wanted to stand with Lyra, not just as a friend, but as a symbol that change was possible. As the festival day approached, the palace felt tense. The old ways were strong, but new ideas were beginning to grow like seeds in spring. Lyra prepared. Herself, nervous but determined. She had Alex by her side, and that made all the difference. The story was only beginning. The day of the Festival of Bonding arrived under the bright purple sky of Xerithia. The entire palace was decorated with glowing banners and shimmering flowers. Nobles dressed in their finest robes filled the grand hall. The air was thick with excitement and nerves. Princess Lyra watched from her chamber window. The festival was a tradition older than anyone could remember. It was the day when bonds were formed, promises that joined two lives forever. For many, it was a moment of joy. But for Lyra, it was a day of pain and loneliness. No one had ever chosen her before. Many saw her disability as a weakness. Some even whispered that she should step aside for the future of the kingdom. But this year was different. Alex, the human diplomat, had announced he would take part in the festival. This surprised everyone. A human bonding with an alien princess? It was unheard of. Some nobles frowned. Others whispered behind their hands. In the grand hall, the crowd gathered. A tall altar stood in the center, glowing softly. One by one, nobles approached, seeking their chosen partners. Laughter and joy filled the room. But Lyra remained on the sidelines, her heart heavy. Alex stood near her, calm and confident. He knew this would not be easy. The culture was different, and many would resist. But he believed in the power of connection, beyond culture, beyond appearances. When the announcer called Alex's name, the room fell silent. All eyes turned toward him. Alex stepped forward and said clearly, "I choose Princess Lyra as my bond." Gasps echoed through the hall. Some nobles whispered angrily, "How can a human bond with a disabled alien princess? This breaks tradition." The queen, Lyra's mother, watched with surprise. She had never seen anyone defend her daughter so boldly. Alex continued, "Strength is not just the body. It is the heart, the mind, and the courage to stand together." He took Lyra's hand gently. She looked up at him, eyes wide with hope. Slowly, Lyra stood, using her mobility aid. She stepped forward beside Alex. The crowd was quiet now, watching this unusual pair. The high priest began the bonding ceremony. He spoke words of unity and promise. Alex and Lyra repeated the sacred vows. As they joined hands, a warm light surrounded them. The bond was made. Some nobles still whispered, but many were silent, thinking deeply. After the ceremony, a group of elders approached Alex. They challenged him. "If you truly wish to bond with the princess, you must prove your commitment through the trial of courage." Alex nodded without fear. "I accept." The trial of courage was an ancient test. It was designed to challenge the body, mind, and spirit. No outsider had ever passed it. Lyra watched with a mix of pride and worry. She knew the trial would be difficult, but she believed in Alex. The trial began the next day. Alex faced many challenges, climbing steep cliffs, solving difficult puzzles, and showing compassion to those in need. But what impressed the elders most was how he never gave up, how he listened to advice, and how he worked with others. When Alex returned, the elders announced, "He has passed the trial. The bond is true." The palace erupted in applause. Even some nobles who had doubted Lyra now looked at her with respect. That night, Lyra and Alex stood on the palace balcony, watching the stars. "Thank you," Lyra said softly, "for believing in me when no one else did." Alex smiled. "You taught me more than I ever expected, about courage, kindness, and hope." Lyra leaned on Alex's shoulder. Together, they dreamed of a future where no one would be judged by their weaknesses, where love and respect were stronger than fear. The Festival of Bonding had changed everything. The days after the Festival of Bonding were filled with change, but not all of it easy. The palace halls buzzed with whispers and questions. Some nobles still looked at Princess Lyra with doubt, while others were quietly curious about the human who had chosen her. Lyra felt a mix of hope and fear. She was no longer alone, but the path ahead was still full of challenges. The old traditions were strong, and many were unwilling to accept something new. Alex, too, understood that their bond was only the beginning. He wanted to help Lyra, not just in name, but in real life. He wanted to show the court and the world that disability did not mean weakness. One morning, Alex visited Lyra in her chamber. He brought with him a small box from the human ship. "I have something for you," he said, smiling. Lyra opened the box carefully. Inside was a device, a smart mobility aid designed to help people move easily. It was light and strong, with controls that Lyra could use with her hands. "This can help you explore the palace and gardens without pain," Alex explained. "It uses technology from Earth, but we can adapt it to Xyrithia." Lyra's eyes lit up with wonder. "Thank you, Alex. This means so much." With the help of the device, Lyra began to move more freely than ever before. She rolled through the gardens, feeling the sun on her face and the breeze in her hair. It was a new kind of freedom. Word of the device spread quickly. Some nobles whispered with surprise. Others began to see Lyra in a new light, not just as the princess with a disability, but as a symbol of courage and change. Alex also spent time learning about Xyrithian culture. He listened to stories, watched the traditions, and talked with the elders. He wanted to understand how to help Lyra and her people without disrespecting their ways. One afternoon, Alex and Lyra sat by the Great Silver Lake. The water reflected the glowing trees and the distant stars. "Your world is beautiful," Alex said, "but I see it holds many challenges." Lyra nodded. "Yes, people are afraid of what they do not understand. They fear change." Alex looked thoughtful. "On Earth, we faced similar fears. But over time, people learned to accept differences. They saw that diversity made us stronger." Lyra smiled. "Maybe one day Xyrithia can be like that." Together, they worked to prepare for the next great event, the council gathering. This was where leaders from all over Xyrithia met to discuss the future. Alex hoped that by standing with Lyra, he could help open minds and hearts. But he also knew it would not be easy. When the day of the council gathering arrived, the palace was full of tension. Some leaders openly opposed Lyra's bond with a human. They saw it as a threat to their traditions and power. During the meeting, harsh words were spoken. Some demanded that Lyra be removed from her position as princess. They questioned the validity of the bond and the influence of humans on their society. Lyra stood tall, supported by Alex. She spoke with quiet strength. "Change is never easy," she said, "but it is necessary. We cannot close our hearts and minds to the world around us." Alex added, "Humans and Xyrithians have much to learn from each other. Our differences are not weaknesses. They are gifts." Slowly, some council members nodded. Others remained silent, thinking deeply. After the meeting, a few nobles approached Lyra and Alex. They offered words of support and hope. It was a small step, but an important one. As the days passed, more people began to see Lyra not as an outcast, but as a leader. Her courage and kindness inspired others to question old beliefs. One evening, Lyra and Alex stood on the palace balcony, watching. "The twin moons rise. We have come far," Lyra said softly, "but there is still much to do." Alex smiled. "Together we can break down the barriers, one step at a time." Lyra took a deep breath. She felt stronger now, not just because of the device or the bond, but because she was no longer alone. The future was uncertain, but it was also full of promise, and for the first time, Lyra truly believed that love and acceptance could change her world. After the council gathering, the palace buzzed with tension. Though some leaders had begun to accept Princess Lyra and her bond with Alex, many still opposed them fiercely. They feared the changes this unusual bond might bring. The Royal Council, a group of powerful elders, decided to put Alex to the test. They would give him a challenge, a trial to prove his loyalty, courage, and the truth of his bond with Lyra. The trial was called the Trial of Elements. It was an ancient test that pushed one's body and mind to the limit. Only those with true strength and spirit could pass. Alex stood before the council, calm but ready. "I accept your challenge," he said clearly. "For Lyra, for our bond, and for the future." Lyra stood beside him, her eyes shining with trust and hope. "I believe in you," she said softly. The Trial of Elements began the next morning. Alex was taken to a special arena outside the palace. The trial had 3 parts: earth, water, and fire. First was earth. Alex had to climb a steep cliff covered with sharp rocks. The path was dangerous and slippery, but Alex was strong and careful. He climbed steadily, never giving up, even when his hands ached. Halfway up, a sudden storm blew through. The wind howled and rain poured down. The rocks became slippery. Many would have stopped, but Alex kept going. He thought of Lyra and the hope she gave him. That gave him strength. At the top, he touched the stone altar, a sign he had passed the earth test. Next was water. Alex had to swim across a cold, fast river filled with strong currents. The water was dark and deep. Alex knew he had to stay, calm and focused. He took a deep breath and dove in. The current pushed hard, but Alex used skill and willpower to swim forward. Halfway across, a large wave nearly pulled him under, but he pushed back with all his might. Finally, he reached the shore and touched the water altar. The crowd watching cheered quietly, impressed by his courage. The last test was fire. Alex had to walk through a path lined with glowing hot stones. The heat was intense, and the air shimmered with heat waves. Many had failed this part before. Alex stepped carefully, focusing on each step. He remembered what Lyra had told him about fear and hope. With steady breath, he crossed the fiery path without hesitation. At the end, he reached the fire altar and placed his hand on it. The trial was complete. The council gathered to discuss. Some members still doubted, but many were moved by Alex's bravery and determination. He had passed the Trial of Elements. The council leader stood and spoke loudly. "Alex has shown true courage and loyalty. The bond with Princess Lyra is real and worthy." The palace erupted in applause. Lyra smiled with tears in her eyes. She felt proud and loved. That evening, Alex and Lyra walked through the palace gardens. The stars twinkled above, and the air was cool. "I knew you could do it," Lyra said, squeezing his hand. Alex smiled. "I did it for us, for everyone who believes in love and acceptance." Lyra looked at him and said, "You have changed my world." Alex nodded. "And you have changed mine." As they stood together, They knew their journey was not over. There would be more challenges ahead. But they also knew that together, they were stronger. The palace had begun to see that strength was not just in the body, but in the heart and mind. And that was the greatest power of all. The days after the trial of elements felt different for Princess Lyra and Alex. The palace was no longer the same place of whispers and doubt. People began to see the princess not just as someone with a disability, but as a symbol of courage and change. Word spread across Xerithia about the unusual bond between the alien princess and the human diplomat. Some still struggled to understand it, but many grew curious and hopeful. One morning, Lyra stood in the Great Hall. She looked out at the crowd gathered for the welcoming ceremony of the human delegation's farewell. The time had come for Alex and his team to leave. Lyra felt a mix of emotions: joy, sadness, hope, and pride. She walked to the front, supported by her mobility device but standing taller than ever. Alex approached her with a gentle smile. "Are you ready?" he asked. Lyra nodded. "More than ever." At the ceremony, the Queen spoke with a voice full of warmth and respect. "Today, we honor the bond between Princess Lyra and Alex of Earth. Their courage has opened new paths for our people." Applause filled the hall. Many nobles, once doubtful, now stood to applaud with genuine smiles. Alex took Lyra's hand. "This is not goodbye," he said softly. "Our worlds are connected now." "I will return." Lyra smiled, her heart full. "I will wait." After the ceremony, the human delegation prepared to board their ship. Lyra and Alex shared a quiet moment in the palace gardens. "Thank you for believing in me," Lyra said. Alex looked into her eyes. "You taught me that true strength is in the heart. You have changed my life." The ship lifted off, leaving a trail of glowing light across the purple sky. Lyra watched until it disappeared beyond the stars. In the days that followed, Lyra took on new duties as a leader. She worked with the council to create programs that welcomed people with disabilities and encouraged acceptance. She shared her story across Xerithia, inspiring many. The palace gardens bloomed with new flowers, symbols of hope and growth. People visited to see the princess who had overcome fear and judgment. One evening, Lyra stood alone under the silver tree where she had first met Alex. She smiled, remembering their talks and dreams. Her world was changing, and she was ready to lead it into a future where love, kindness, and acceptance would shine brighter than any star.